Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family and what life looks like for you day to day?
Yes. So I'm a homeschool parent. I have one daughter, and she is 7, and she loves Taekwondo. So she's really excited about it. So day to day, she's in a troop, she's in Taekwondo, and we're homeschooling, and we do tons of play dates because as an only child, try to get her around other kids a lot. So
she's homeschooled.
She's homeschooled.
When did you start that with her?
I started that before kindergarten. I was a teacher before, and I taught homeschoolers before. I would go and bring the fun to the classes. My degree's in art, and so I would come and bring hands-on history, hands-on science, art, all the fun stuff that homeschool parents sometimes get overwhelmed trying to add those things in when they're trying to meet the basics. And so I loved doing that. I had Eliana when I was almost 40 years old. So I don't know.
What's your husband do?
He's an attorney. He's found his niche. He just switched to injury law, and he really likes doing injury law. So, yeah.
Great. So your husband's Korean.
He's Korean. Yes.
So your daughter is half Korean.
Yes.
Like me.
Yes.
So then how has that experience been specifically with your husband's Korean background? How has that influenced your family culture, parenting style?
Yeah. So finding Taekwondo, we first found Taekwondo and loved Taekwondo. And then we're like, oh, also it's Korean, has a Korean background. And it's fun to have Korean phrases that are in the classes, and so it's fun to have that language inclusion and have that connection with Korean culture. Mm-hmm. We always like to, celebrate her heritage, and my, in-laws speak very little English. So every Korean exposure she has is really, huge benefit. So,
do you guys eat Korean food at home?
We do, yes.
Do you cook it?
No. I've tried, and I'm banned from that. No, my husband, he actually owned a restaurant before he went to law school. So he's an incredible cook and loves Korean food. So he's for sure the chef on Korean food.
Where was his restaurant?
So it was in Chicago.
Oh, so even better.
It was a sandwich shop.
Huge Korean population in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, it was just an American sandwich shop, but he's a foodie. That's his obsession.
Okay.
So yeah, He says if he could do anything, he'd be a food critic and get paid to eat delicious food.
I'm right there with him. I love food too. So then, not to put you on the spot, but do you like Korean food? Enough said.
I do like, Korean barbecue.
Yes.
I found that I like,
bulgogi?
I mean, yes. We love bulgogi, I have found that I like kimchi pancakes. I like kimchi soup, but I cannot eat it cold. Yeah. I'm like having cold kimchi,
Well, it's not for
both my daughter and I, we don't do the cold kimchi.
I can't do raw broccoli.
Oh, really?
It has to be steamed.
Okay.
Raw broccoli, oh my goodness. Not a good outcome. But that's interesting. It's funny because my mom, who's Caucasian, obviously, she actually taught herself how to cook. And I mean, that was back in the 80s, right? So this is through books.
Yes, before internet.
Books. Before the internet and ChatGPT. But she even still cooks it today. And they're no longer together, but she still cooks it. It's funny that she still loves that. But, growing up as a half Korean, I mean, this is kind of what's coming up with your daughter is, am I Korean or am I white? So it's like educating, I think, early on that you're special because you have both. And I always thought, like, even just with Taekwondo and doing what I do, that I could kind of look the part, but then I can connect with Americans because I'm American. I was born here. I've been to Korea one time. I can't speak Korean. I can read and write, but that's about it. I don't even know what I'm reading and writing. But I always joke we've got a lot of half Asian students, a lot. And the ones that are Korean, I go, of course you're supposed to be doing this. This is in your blood. Yeah. All right. So then what has your journey been like as a mom of a daughter with autism?
Yeah. So she's diagnosed ADHD, and her psychiatrist said he suspects autism. She's not officially diagnosed. She's not done the assessment. We're on a waiting list for the assessment.
What do you think? Do you think that she's on the spectrum?
I suspect that. Her OTs suspect that. Her speech therapist suspected that. Her play therapist, everybody suspects it. She can present neurotypical. Yeah. So sometimes some of those, behaviors are unexpected because she'll be running around just presenting neurotypical until she runs into something, and then she's seeing, very black and white about it. And she's, sort of gets, like triggered and dysregulated, and then she needs co-regulation. And so the first big challenges that we faced were when she started kindergarten. We'd already started homeschooling and it was going great. But I'm thinking, socialization, I don't know if I can homeschool an only child. The homeschoolers I see, they have a lot of children. I'm not sure that, I think I should put her in school. We are zoned to not a great district. No. And so public school was not an option. Actually, no one in our neighborhood goes to public school. They're either in private school or homeschooled, just because it's not a great district. So looking at private schools, some said no. They did like an entrance thing, and they said, we cannot accept her because she was like, nope, I'm not doing your coloring page. I will not do it. They said, well, you can't come to school here. And then other programs, we did put her in one kindergarten program. They said we cannot keep her and other children safe, so she cannot continue here. Then we tried another kindergarten program, and I told them ahead of time, here's her assessment. Here's the accommodation she would need. Can you provide all of that? Yes, we can provide all of that. We think this would be great for her. She actually, they have earlier ages as well. So she was there when she was 2. They said, yeah, we'd love to have her. But they found they could not accommodate her. They weren't able to provide the accommodations. They weren't trained for autism. They weren't trained for ADHD. And so then they said she can't continue here. So she was basically asked to leave 2 different kindergarten programs within a matter of 2 months in kindergarten. And that was pretty overwhelming. I'm a first-time mom. I'm trying to figure these things out. Yeah. She had already been doing OT. We got that early, we started doing OT early on for some of the social emotional challenges that we were facing in parenting, and had gotten great parenting resources. But yeah, facing that, I think that she faced a lot of rejection early on, and that was very painful to watch. We tried dance classes, we tried a gymnastics type class, and all those settings. We found that the teachers didn't really know how to accommodate her, and they were easily frustrated with her. And then she felt all that frustration. She felt all that rejection. And she had like sort of a fear of teachers, a fear of coaches. She said, from now on, I only want mommy to teach me, because those were not positive experiences, and so that was really hard. And then I had a friend, I'm like trying to find the extracurricular. She is different from me in that I was not competitive at all. I mean, I did some sports, but I sat bench, I cheered. I'm happy if you put everyone else in the game. I don't care if we win or lose. I just want to be on the team and have fun. And I didn't care about excelling. I mean, I'm not athletic. My husband is athletic. He loves games. He loves sports. So I think she got some of that from him. And she's like, I want to be the best. And she does the monkey bars. She's like, I'm going to do this over and over again until I make it all the way across. And I was like, I've got to put her in a sport. And I had a friend reach out and say, hey, we're forming this homeschool soccer team. Do you want to do it? And I asked her, I said, do you want to play soccer? And she said, no, I don't want to play soccer. She said, there's coaches, don't want to coach. And she said, I don't want to run. There's a lot of running in soccer. No, I don't want to play soccer. I was like, okay, that's a real no. This was this past year.
Oh.
And so I said, that's a real no. And I said, so what about martial arts? And she said, yes. And she's jumping up and down. She wants to do martial arts. She had done a demo at a fair where she broke a board. One of those practice boards. Yeah. And she never forgot that. And she's like, that's what I want to do. She already knew that's what I want to do. So I posted on Facebook. I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm going ahead here. Nope. I said, I posted on Facebook and I said, okay, I don't know anything about martial arts, no martial arts background. I'm not even thinking Taekwondo yet. I don't know. And so I post, okay, who knows some martial arts classes? And people are making different recommendations. I'm thinking, we'll try a lot of different things out, and then a couple days later, a Facebook ad pops up for KOMA Taekwondo in Prairie Village. It's like, sure, well, a free trial. Let's do it. So we go in for a free trial and we were blown away. We didn't try any other classes. Well, we're done. We're signing up today. This is it. And Eliana absolutely loved it and was wanted to keep going. What
was your first impressions when you walked in?
So first impression was the space is beautiful. I'm thinking as an artist first, the first thing I notice is the aesthetics.
You get it. You're an art background.
First thing I notice, I'm
art teacher.
It's just the perfect space. It's clean and beautiful and it's upscale, but it's not intimidating. It's simple. It's okay, aesthetic is just perfectly done. So it's the first thing I noticed walking in. And the second thing, I was blown away. I was like, okay, we've done this before. So I know now going in, I just give them all the information up front. I'm like, here's her challenges. Here's what's hard for her. Here's what she can and can't handle. I tell it all up front and I'm used to, not feeling the warmest welcome at that point.
Really?
Yeah. Lots of different places.
Different youth activity stuff?
Yes. And talking to different parents, they experience the same thing at lots of different places. It's I think, and I can see it as a teacher, coming in as a teacher, it's overwhelming sometimes when you have a student that has extra challenges and you're trying to teach the whole class, so I understand where they're coming from, but it's hard as a parent because I want her to thrive. I want her to feel wanted and accepted and valued. And she has a lot to offer. So I want, other people to see that and want her to be there and be willing to partner with her through the different challenges. And immediately, first of all, I'm a giant fan of Mrs. Crindle. Good job hiring Mrs. Crindle in Prairie Village. I'm she immediately made me feel accepted, made Eliana feel accepted, was yes, we will accommodate for her, in all of these things. And they did a fantastic job. It was Mr. Grisman. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Mr. Grisman, and he had an assistant that day. During her first trial, Mrs. Crindle walks over and she whispers to me that the assistant is on the spectrum. And I almost cry right there because I'm blown away watching him instruct this class and like watching what he can do, watching his interactions with Eliana and seeing this role model in front of me of what the potential of something that she could do, you know? And so, yeah, I was like, oh, we are all the way in, you know? Yeah. So that was our first impression. Going in was one, they are excited she's there. They're ready to accommodate her. The space is beautiful. Their management is phenomenal, you know? And I asked Mrs. Crindle at one point, I said, like, how do y'all accommodate so well? Because like, we don't find this a lot of places. And I'm on these Facebook pages for, you know, autism, Kansas City Facebook pages. And everyone's always looking for extracurricular. And they're like, you know, there's closed door after closed door after closed door. And then the places that are open, say a swim class, there's a year-long waiting list, you know. And so like to find places where our kids will feel accepted and where they can thrive, you know, it's really not easy to do. And so finding a place that was just like so amazing. And so I said, how do y'all do this so well? And she said, it's Master Co. So I was like,
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. And then I just found out on a podcast with Mrs. Sheets that you have a child on the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, now it's clicking. Like you get it. You understand.
Oh, yes.
And so that's why that's where, because the instructors are trained on, you know, how to handle, you know, different kids that are neurodivergent and have challenges. And Eliana's faced challenges in class, and they've been able to like help her co-regulate and accommodate her and, you know, let me, you know, swoop in and bring her aside when I need to. I love that the parents can watch and like we can be there and just be a part of the whole thing. So, yeah. So I guess I wanted to have a question back on like your heart behind that. And
it's interesting is when I first started, it's almost been 20 years now of KOMA, and I had students that would come in and they were on the spectrum, different challenges, whatnot. And to be honest, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to teach them. It's really fear. I'm like, I don't know how to teach them. I don't know what they're going to do to me. I don't know about this diagnosis. And I was young. I always call it young and dumb. But when you're first starting a business, you kind of take anyone. So I ended up teaching quite a few of them. And I remember very vividly of feeling sorry for the parent. Like, I don't know how they could handle that. If I had a child on the spectrum or who had a diagnosis like that, my whole life would be over, right? And then fast forward to 12 years ago, God's like, you just wait. I'm gonna show you what it's like. And up until then, until I had my son, and it's actually 2.5 years, you know, it's usually about 2.5 years when you get the diagnosis, that you start to realize that it is much more of a blessing than anything. It's a blessing. Now, of course, there are tough times, really tough times. I mean, there's days that you're like, I don't know how I'm going to keep doing this. Like, and then especially when you start thinking about the future, oh my goodness, then you can get into these really dark, deep rabbit holes that you shouldn't be in. But with all that being said, it woke me up to the need. And there's other parents out there with kids, just like Kyson, my son, and they need an outlet. They need an extracurricular activity. They need, I see this as therapy, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, we can't say it's therapy because it's not some, you know, official, but I really believe it is. And the interesting part is I've never changed how I taught. So whether they're neurotypical or they're on the spectrum or have some sort of diagnosis, my approach with teaching is the exact same. It's just you have to scale it back. You figure out what can they do, and then you figure out what you want them to do, and then you break it down into the smallest parts, and then you figure out what smallest part can they do, and then once they can do it, then they need to earn that praise, and then you just keep building. But the big thing that a lot of people struggle with, I believe, is having that emotional regulation, especially with kids on the spectrum. I believe they can feel your emotions. They maybe not can see it or, interpret it, but I don't know, they feel it, especially when you get frustrated. Mm-hmm. If they feel like you're getting frustrated, and kids are like this too, neurotypical kids are like this, then you lost all leadership. Mm-hmm. You lost it. You lost control. So that's the main strategy we adopt with all of our kids, especially those on the spectrum. But now it's become almost like our mission. So that assistant that you had experience with, it's not the only one.
Yeah.
We have multiple, which is incredible. Like, I would never have thought 10, 15 years ago that this would happen. Because some of these assistant instructors, they've been with us for 10 years. So when they first started, especially some of them I'm thinking about, actually all of them, to be honest, there's no way that I would have said, yeah, they would be assisting classes. Talk about a blessing. Talk about a miracle, right? But yeah, that's that is really the fuel here, because those kids who are soccer stars, volleyball stars, basketball stars, the cool kids in high school or in school or whatever, they're good. They don't need us. They're going to be fine. It's the kids that are sitting on the bench that get made fun of. They're a little awkward, kind of eccentric. Those kids, give me all of them. I want all of them, right? And that's where we see the biggest improvement, is the ones who are on the spectrum, or even if they're not diagnosed as just kind of really shy and introverted, we see huge dramatic improvements. And that's what our fuel is to keep going. So then, did you have any hesitations before joining?
Well, I think one hesitation I had was, okay, she loves it today. What if we sign up and then like next week she's like, I hate it. I'm not doing this anymore. And she just like refuses to do the classes. Then what? And so I talked to Mrs. Crendall about that. I said, and she said, well, part of it, the commitment sort of helps you like work towards the goals. It's like you develop perseverance. You develop that as you make a commitment. If there's no commitment, you're probably not going to make it very far, and, and then thinking through, I think for me, thinking through, okay, what's the difference between this activity and other activities she's tried? Because I'm like, she's done other activities where we go to the first dance class and she's fine. She's not fine on the third dance class. So, what then? And I was like, the difference is they are for her here. They're trained on how to help her, and they are for her. And so I that kind of helped me get over that hurdle and be like, okay, I can make this, and we started with a 3-month commitment. Okay, now this summer we're doing private lessons because she's doing so many VBSs and we're going out of town and all these things. I said, so we're doing private lessons, which is going amazing. And then we're going to do the 9-month commitment, starting in August. But that sort of, knowing their commitment to her helped us be able to make that commitment.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's music to my ears. I cannot stress that enough, especially with parents who want to see benefits. Mm-hmm. They want to see improvement and growth through our program. It's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. I talk about this story all the time. My daughter started at 3, cried for literally 2 years straight. I had to force her every single class. Think about that. Mm-hmm. 3 classes a week for 2 years. I still have PTSD from that. Now, you do get used to it, and you're like, the thing is when you're the adult, you can kind of just see it as they're just being a kid. Mm-hmm. The tears and all that, don't take it seriously. I mean, they're not dying. Mm-hmm. They'll be fine, right? That's the hardest thing, but that's what adults need to do, is just look past the emotions, because we have a fully developed brain. We can see the future. Mm-hmm. They cannot. But having that commitment up front is extremely important for anything that is meaningful in life. If you don't have that commitment up front, you will eventually quit. But you got to start with that commitment, whether it be working out, getting healthier, or whatever it may be. So that's awesome. I love that.
Now she wants to be an instructor someday. She wants to be in the black belt club. She wants her black belt.
I want her right now.
She's very excited. She shows her friends her poomsae and her kicks, and she's very proud of. And like, I've not seen the amount of joy that she had when she broke her first board and got her yellow belt. Like, she was just jumping up and down and like she's screaming excited. I decided to pay for a private assessment for her yellow belt.
Sure.
I said, I don't think she's ready to do this with a group. I think there's just too many, factors there. And so she did it privately. And so Mrs. Crindle and I were able to work out, okay, how should this look? And I said, well, why don't you just, or I think it was her idea. She'll just do a normal class and she'll just, in the middle there, like Eliana didn't even know she was doing an assessment because that all creates anxiety in her, fight and flight response. And then she'll just, shut down, close off. She didn't even know she was doing an assessment. Just, show me your poomsae. Okay, now we're going to break this board. And then she got her yellow belt and she was just so excited. And Mr. Grisman was there and Mrs. Crindle was there and just like so cool for both of them been a part of her journey this whole time. And so like to see that joy, was, just really amazing.
I love it. I love it. What would you say to another parent who's on the fence about joining KOMA, especially if their child has special needs?
Yeah.
Or a diagnosis?
I've actually sort of been doing that. There's a parent there and their kid's doing a trial and we're sitting there in the waiting room watching our kids, and then I just tell them, basically Eliana's, how amazing it's been for Eliana. And I'm like, definitely like, you should sign up. So I think the big thing is for people who haven't even looked into it is the trial is free, just come do the free trial. And I think at that point, once they do the free trial, most of the time they're going to be like, okay, yes, like, I want my child to be a part of this. And so, nothing else, just come try the free trial.
I would have to agree with you. Since day one, and even just most recently, we really try to make this the ultimate extracurricular activity, meaning it touches on everything that is important for the development of a child. Physical meaning strength, mobility, flexibility. These kids, oh my goodness, their hamstrings are so tight. It's unbelievable. Like some of these kids can barely even touch their own shins, let alone toes. It's because they're sitting all day and they don't do anything like that. You go play other sports, I don't think they really focus on the mobility except maybe dance, gymnastics, right? And then also the character, the life skill building. That is so important for me because I know that my experience of becoming an adult and beyond, I look back and I wish that I learned some of these things earlier on as a child, like the discipline to not give up. The commitment is a big one. I mean, if you want to be a doctor, you better learn how to commit. You want to be an attorney, you better learn how to commit because it's going to get rough and it's not going to be fun. But I'm very, very passionate about building our curriculum and the overall experience. So then that child, once they become an adult, will look back and go, that's why I'm so disciplined. That's why I'm so focused. That's why I don't allow life's obstacles and challenges to defeat me because I'm a black belt. I'm a third degree black belt. I know how to teach. I know how to teach a class. I don't mind. And the other one too is like, what's the biggest fear for even everybody, all adults in the world? Public speaking, which is more than like sharks. But it's like, if you could get over your public speaking as a 14-year-old, gosh, how amazing are you going to have it compared to others when you try to pursue your dreams and goals in life? I remember because I was so shy. And for me to stand up and talk in front of people, no, not going to happen. And it would like literally give me like sweats and you know what I mean? And now it's like these kids, they can get up and teach a 45-minute class at 14 years old.
Wow.
But we would love to we'll be saving a spot for Ileana. She has a spot waiting for her. I can't wait to see that. Oh my goodness. That's going to be so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, just comparing Taekwondo with other sports. I didn't really know what I was going into. She said she wants to do martial arts, and I don't even know. There's a lot of martial arts. Like which one? I don't know. We actually didn't pick Taekwondo because she's Korean.
Isn't that funny?
Kind of like a Facebook ad popped up and I think God intervened and was like,
Yes.
I think it was just the God's timing because really Prairie Village had just opened. I think she was one of the very first students enrolled. And so I didn't even know what I was doing. So researching since then, if you read about ADHD, like one of the top things recommended for kids with ADHD is Taekwondo. I'm like, oh, well, that's good.
No, I love it. It's the structure.
And the structure. Yeah. And then I think, one thing I was reading about was the fact that, and I can see that in her classes, is that when, there's so many factors to navigate on a team sport that is can be just completely overwhelming. Yeah. What if you don't make the goal? Like, what if you don't make it in the basket or, kick it in the goal, like, and you let your whole team down and your whole team is disappointed and they just lost because of you. That's like pressure that is absolutely, she cannot handle that pressure, and the pressure to win and the pressure of like your peers depending on you to win. No, like that's just way too much. And not that somebody with ADHD, like obviously there's very talented, athletes, soccer players, basketball players with ADHD, but like what's recommended for all kids with ADHD is Taekwondo because it's individualized. And so like versus instead of a coach, you have an instructor. You don't have to guess like how to do something. They will tell you and they'll break it down, like you said, step by step. She needs to know concretely, exactly, step by step what to do. And she needs somebody who will take it to her pace and, just walk her through each step. So she doesn't have to guess, well, okay, everybody's upset with me. I don't know what I did wrong. Like, I don't know, nobody's upset. Nobody's disappointed. You're not letting anybody down. It's just you working on the next stripe or the next belt. And so it's literally just success after success after success and step by step improving. When she was shown first, the first Pumse, she's absolutely not. I'll never be able to do that. No, I can't do that. And she just had anxiety about this Pumse.
And Pumse is a pattern of movements that the student will learn and memorize. It's usually between 12, for super tykes, it's 12 movements that they memorize, different directions, different techniques, and then correct hand and foot. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was just taught incrementally, just step by step, Pumse, and she got it. And now she still knows the first Pumse, and she'll still show people. And she loves, I said, what's your favorite thing in Taekwondo? And she said, the Kia.
Yelling?
Yes. So she does her Pumse.
You know what?
With each yell and to do that whole routine with the yells. It's like, it really impresses her friends. Her friends are like, that's very impressive, And she's so excited to be able to show that. And now she's working on, she's got her yellow belt. So she's working on the next Pumse. Mm-hmm. And she loves the Pumse. She was nervous about the Pumse. I'll never be able to do it. And then she overcame that. And now she's like, that's the thing. She conquered it. And she's so excited about it, and she tells everyone, like I haven't made it yet, but I'm going to make a frame for the board that she broke. Cause she's like, I broke a board. And this is like her first board she broke. Mm-hmm. And I also have a frame for her belts. So we have her white belt and we're just going to keep adding as she makes another belt. We're going to frame all the belts in one frame, so that she has that on the wall to show, look what you've done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's great. I always say Pumse is what changes kids.
Yeah.
It's the Pumse. It's the form, the pattern of memorizing the pattern, doing it with all their effort, and then focus on the details, especially for people that are ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Big surprise, or maybe not a big surprise, but just let you know, like him and I, Mr. Gilroy, like we have probably ADHD. A lot of our instructors, ADHD. So it's like we get it. We understand the perspective of the student. But Pumse is what changes students. And unfortunately, a lot of studios, a lot of martial arts schools are moving away from it because it's hard to get students to like it because it can be boring. Right? It's not kicking something. It's not punching something. You're not fighting someone. It's not, you're not touching anything. It's just doing your moves in the air. But that in itself, I've seen it over the last many years of doing this. That's what changes kids. And that's what we specialize in. I've always specialized in the Pumse. So as we wrap this up, what are you most hopeful for as your family continues this journey with us?
Well, I asked Eliana in coming into this podcast, I said, and in watching Mrs. Sheets' podcast, I said, do you want to be an instructor? She said, yes. So she wants to become a black belt. She wants to do the black belt club. She wants to become an instructor. It's very cool to have these kind of goals at age 7 and to have a path for her to things to work towards, So, and the other thing is, that I didn't mention is that basically it addresses all of her OT goals. Taekwondo does. And so just to see her, she just started in January. And so, just to see her continue to work towards those goals, to continue to grow in concentration, respect. It was hard for her to understand authority. That was a hard thing for her to understand. And so for her to just bow to her instructor each time, to the flag each time, to grow in understanding, growing in respect, growing in, her core strength is already improving. Like now she can do a cartwheel, which has been her goal for years now. She wanted to do a cartwheel. She didn't have the core strength. She couldn't do a cartwheel. Mm-hmm. She didn't have the arm strength. So actually Mrs. Crandall one day said, let me show you how to do a cartwheel. She'd already built through Taekwondo, already built the core strength, already built the arm strength. And then she's so excited. She's doing her cartwheel all around. So to see her continue to grow and basically what are her OT goals, that's what we're addressing here in Taekwondo. And so many areas. I just think it's just such a huge gift to her, to us as a family and to her.
So we're not the cheapest around. Mm-hmm. Would you say it's worth the investment?
Yes. So we don't have extra savings. We don't have extra income. We are still like month to month. We live minimally. Our house is not, not an affluent area. We don't have a $500,000 house. We live minimally. We drive old cars. We don't go on big fancy vacations. We're not an affluent family, but, and part of that is my husband navigating to a new area of law, sure. Starting in a new area of law. So, but for us, the investment is worth it because of the impact on our daughter. So for us, it's a long-term investment. And so if we're going to spend our money on something, it's going to be our child.
Yeah. Amen.
And so, this is our biggest expense for her, as far as, an extracurricular and extra activity, beyond just like cost of living. And it's 100% worth it. So even for families like mine who don't have a ton of extra income, it's 100% worth the investment in our children for the long term. Also comparing it to OT prices.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's much cheaper than OT.
Yes.
So,
yes, I know.
So it, I'd rather pay, honestly. I mean, she still has her OT. So she still has that. And she's like very excited for her doing Taekwondo, But, we have to do less OT because she's doing Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. So
well, hopefully she'll
it's worth the investment.
Yeah. hopefully KOMA will fill in the gaps with that. But I do have to thank you very much for making that sacrifice. I know we're not the cheapest around. We don't have the lowest rates, but the main reason is we try to pay our staff well. And like you said, like with our facility, we really try to provide a top-notch experience, but we invest a lot into our curriculum, staff, all of it. It's not just like a mom and pop. I mean, we really try to make this a world-class experience. And most importantly, so the student will feel the most benefit.
Yes.
Lower class ratios, right? Not having 30 kids to one, having it divided up by age, having it so then we can offer multiple times. So if you miss one time, then you can come a different time. So we really try to go above and beyond so that experience is world-class. And so then we can get the most growth from the student. That's what we always focus on. But thank you so much for your continued support of us and for coming on the show today. Greatly appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.